time we're working with donuts. Judy's Donuts baked a total of 200 donuts of 3 different kinds: glaze, sprinkle, and jelly. The number of glaze was 3 times as many as jelly. The number of sprinkle was 11 more than glaze. Find the number of donuts of each type. So for these types of problems, what I do is I write a variable for each different thing, and then I express them, and then I see if I can do any substitution. So let's kind of go through this really quickly together. We're going to let jelly equal, how about J? So J is going to be the number of jelly donuts. Okay, and whenever we put a variable in here, in an equation, we have to make sure that we identify what that variable stands for. You can't just start using J, G, and S and expect your reader to know what it is you're talking about. Okay, I'm going to let S equal sprinkle. S equals the number of sprinkle. And I'm going to let G equal the number of glaze. Number glaze. Barely fit it. Okay? So far so good? All we did was identify variables. So let's look at what we know here. We know something about the number of glazed donuts. What do we know? The number of glaze is 3 times as many as jelly. So we know that G equals what? 3 times the number of jelly, which is J. So G equals 3J. We also know something about the number of sprinkle. What do we know about the number of sprinkle? 11 more than glaze. So S is going to equal what? G plus what? 11. Okay, now can I solve an equation with all these different variables in it? No, I need to get them all into one variable, but what do I know? Look, I know that sprinkle is G plus 11, and I know what G equals too, don't I? G equals 3J, so I'm going to substitute that in. So my number of sprinkles is what? 3J plus 11. So I can write everything in terms of jelly donuts, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody with me so far?
Yeah.
All right. Let's put this in green so it's all the same. Okay. So the total number of donuts was what? 200. So we're going to add them all up together. So we have the number of jelly donuts, which is J, plus the number of glazed donuts, which is what? 3J, plus the number of sprinkled donuts, which is 3J plus 11. You need to put the whole thing in there. All of that equals 200. Okay, let's combine like terms. I have J plus 3J plus 3J, which is 7J plus 11 equals 200. Now what do I do? Minus 11 from both sides. Those cancel, so I get 7J equals 189. And then what do I do? Divide both sides by 7. Does it come out equal this time?
Yeah.
Yeah. So J equals 27. That's the number of jelly donuts. Okay, J equals 27. S equals what? Or let's do G. How about G? G equals 3J, so G equals 3 times 27, which is 81.
Oh.
You're right. 81. And S equals 3J plus 11. We know that 3J is 81 plus 11, so it's going to be 92. That's my answer. Oh. Okay. So example 4. Come on. I'm pulling, but it's not coming. There we go. Maria studied for a total of 16 hours a week. She studied for 3 different classes, math, science, and history. She studied 1 hour more for science than for history. The number of hours she studied for math was 2 more than what she studied for science. Find the number of hours she studied for each subject. Okay, so this one is very similar to the last one, so if you were a little confused on the last one, we should maybe get it a little bit better this time. So what I'm going to do is, first thing, I'm going to assign a variable for each subject. Okay, so math is going to be M. So M is the hours for math. Hours math. Science is going to be, I don't know, let's call it S. So S is the number of hours she studied science. And we'll let H be history. So the first thing that I'm doing is I have to identify what each of the variables stand for. Anytime we have a word problem, we have to do this. Okay, so we know some stuff, right? She studied 1 more hour for science than for history. So we know that science equals what? She studied 1 more hour for science than history. So science equals H plus 1, or 1 plus H. The number of hours she studied for math was 2 more than what she studied for science. So math is S plus 2. Find the number of hours she studied for each subject. Let's think about this really quick. I'm going to be adding all of these things up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If I add up these 2 things, are these guys like terms? No. So we need to get rid of the S and make it in terms of H. How are we going to do that? Okay. I know that S equals what? H plus 1. So I can substitute that in for S in the M equation. So what would M also equal?
H plus 1 plus 2.
Excellent. M also equals H plus 1 plus 2, which is H plus 3. Okay. So now we know we have everything in terms of,
You put an M instead of an H for everything.
M equals math.
No, that's down.
Here,
Oh, is that not?
H.
Oh,
This one?
no, nothing.
This one. No, it should be M. It should be M. Okay, so now we know how many hours she studied for history was. What? Is H. So that's her hours for history, plus how many hours did she study for science?
1.
No, not 1. H plus 1. And how many hours did she study for math?
H plus 3.
H plus 3. So we have to plug each one of those in individually because they each stand for a different number of hours. Equals how many total? 16. Okay, so let's combine like terms. H plus H plus H gives me 3H plus 1 plus 3 plus 4 equals 16. To solve for H, I subtract 4 from both sides. 3H equals 12. To solve for H, I divide both sides by 3. So H equals 4 what? 4 hours. That's just for history. So how many hours did she study for science? H plus 1, so 4 plus 1, which is 5 hours. And she studied for math, H plus 3, so she studied 4 plus 3, which is 7 hours. That is your answer. So you need to make sure that you are aware exactly what they're asking you for. Because you might get a question where they just ask, how many hours did she study for math? So you only give them the math answer, but you still have to go through all of it, right? Okay.